Well, welcome everyone to Anxiety Simplified. I am Joanne Williams, and this is going to be our Christmas special. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. And we really are always here to share some strategies with you. Some of them that I've used in my 30 years as a licensed mental health professional with my clients with great success that I hope will bring you a little bit more joy and happiness in your life. And today I have a very special guest, and we're going to have gifts. So you're going to want to look in the show notes or go to anxietysimplified.net to see your gifts as part of this show. But I feel like I have a very special guest that is a gift, Debbie D'Aquino, that's returning. I asked her to come back, and I'm going to introduce her in just a minute. But Debbie is the author of Calm is the New Happy book, and you can find it on Amazon, and it's just the sweetest book, and I really want everybody to see it because then we're going to talk a little bit about it today. But she really used this, and part of what we'll do today is talk a little bit about parts of it that you can really use in your life. But she really literally healed herself with chronic fatigue, with this healing method we're going to talk a little bit about today, which is really about all the wisdom you need is inside you, even healing energy. But Debbie is the founder of Calm and Happy Academy, empowering entrepreneurs to live an amazing and profitable life and liberating lives with the least amount of stress. Because, and I hope we'll talk a little bit about stress, how demanding that is on the body. But I want to welcome you again today, Debbie. So glad you're here. Really, that we want to share more together about all that wisdom that we can find within us as really one of the gifts we want to give everybody today. So, welcome, Debbie. So glad to have you back.
Thank you, Joanne. Here we are.
Here
We're
we are
together
again.
again.
We are. I had so much fun the last time. I'm really glad that we could come back and really talk about this wisdom that is inside us. So I want you to tell us more. Why do you feel that we have all the wisdom we need inside us?
Right. Well, I stumbled upon it, right, through life experiences, of course. But if we would pause for a moment and just explore, even in ourself, if we are in a quandary, we're wondering about something, we're like back and forth, can't make a decision. If we just stop for a moment and really turn inward, we'll find that the answer's just sitting in there on our heart. I experienced this when I had to make a pretty profound decision because it was involving money, a lot of money, right? Um, I had this part-time position and it was like bringing in $24,000 a year. That's not huge if that was the only amount coming in, but it's a nice chunk of play money,
Yeah,
right?
of
And
course.
I was so undecided what to do about this position. Um, Part of it was because of the money. Part I wanted to leave it was my heart wasn't really in it anymore, but I didn't know how I was going to replace that part of the income that I had grown accustomed to. And so, I vacillated, and it was like 2 weeks I vacillated, and there was a deadline coming up. I had to give them my decision. I couldn't decide. I was so back and forth because I had columns. I had written up the pro column. I'd written up the con problem column, and so then one day I just said, "Oh my gosh, Debbie, you're not practicing what you preach, right?" And I just sat myself down and got very calm, started breathing, started connecting with my body, started letting go, releasing this tension and this stress. And I just turned inward and I asked myself the question, what is the best decision I need to make here? And it's almost like I could hear a voice that wasn't audible, but it's just words inside your heart. And what it didn't tell me exactly, the words inside my heart say, you know exactly what you need to do. then the next thought was, have the courage to do it. And like, that's so wise. Usually our wisdom doesn't, our wisdom guides us in other ways. And that's what happened to me. And I knew I had to leave behind that $24,000 position. I just knew. My heart knew it. So now have the courage to do it. So then as soon as I made that decision, I trusted the wisdom inside me. I made that decision. It was like a flood of ideas started coming to me for how I was going to replace that money. But here's the thing. I couldn't think of those ideas when I was all caught up in that back and forth trying to make a decision, because I was creating energy around not knowing.
Yeah, the confusion. Yeah.
Yeah, the confusion. Everything we do creates an energy. I'm sure you talk about this,
Yes.
Joanne, with your clients. And we get caught up in the energy we don't want to be in, and then we can't see for the forest. It's like we can't get out of it. So that was like one experience about all of the wisdom we need is inside of us. I'm not saying all the knowledge of the universe is in us, but the wisdom is. And so often it's just your intuition. That's your connection.
And I think that is another important point. And a lot of times with clients, when I do work, most of them do have anxiety kind of issues. And what I see is that the emotion of a situation that does cause the anxiety or fear, it keeps you out of your logical mind or getting into your heart, because it just makes a flurry of emotions around, and the confusion. And you're right, it just feels like that energy is what happens. The lack of whatever clarity or the needs for answers happens instead of when you can get quiet and out of that emotion. And that's why one of the reasons I really like your book, when it talks about how and gives the steps, how to do that even in 5 minutes, to just sit, be quiet, and focus. And you give these nice, and I love the drip, drip, drip with the meditation, how to get kind of out of your thoughts. And then you can just sit quiet. And I think that's when those little voices that are not very loud sometimes, they're just very quiet because you haven't talked to them that much. They'll be there, but you got to really kind of focus inward is what you're saying. And I love it that you call it wisdom, because I don't feel like we hear that a lot. It seems like it's the intellect, that has the wisdom, it's not your little intuition that may be whispering something to you. So I'm glad you said that. So I would love to hear anything else you have to say about either your ways to get to calm, or that intuition that I guess is inner intuition that we
intuition. We could make up a new word. Intuition.
Did, didn't I? That's good. Oh, I like that. Inner wisdom.
I love this. As you're speaking, my mind's bouncing like, oh, I should highlight that. Oh, I should highlight that. Oh, now I should highlight that. So now I'm like, okay, because you did talk about I call it the 5 stages of awareness towards the end of the book, when I'm taking you through the 5 stages of awareness, because that's how we get into a 5-minute calming process. So that we could talk about. And then you stirred up some other things in me that were coming up at the same time.
About the intuition. How do you get there? How do you know what it is? What do you
Let's talk about that. Yes. How do we tap our intuition and trust it? And I think, oh my gosh, I want to give credit where credit's due. And his name's just escaping me right now. And I love this person. That's terrible when that happens. But anyway, what I learned deeply was we've got to learn to move from our head to our heart. And we don't do that often enough. The clients I work with, they're always up in their head, and they're creating so much stress without realizing. And then the body starts to send signals, headaches and pain and aches. And then we kind of ignore that too. But just that stress that's happening, so we're up here. And when we
Yeah.
learn to drop down here,
Mm.
even if it's, a money decision, a family decision, a business decision, the wisdom sits here, and we have to practice drop from our head to our heart. Whew. And then, as you said, we hear that little voice that we don't stop long enough to listen to. It is in us. And sometimes it's you actually hear words. Sometimes it's a feeling. Sometimes it's a guidance. And you'll happen to look at something on your shelf, and a word that's written on that packaging makes you realize, oh, I have to call Marcia. It's
Yeah.
like there's some,
Yeah.
right?
Connections. Yeah.
Our connection. Because I
Yeah.
really do believe there is a oneness, right?
Mm-hmm.
The non-physical is here. Just like there are waves passing through us right now at this moment, right?
Right.
If we turned on radio frequency, we could hear it because the waves are already here. My Wi-Fi frequency, it's already here. There's so much around us, so much intuition. So recently, this is not in my book because this is a new learning for myself. I was studying dimensions and understanding dimensions, and what's the first dimension? And the first dimension is mind. The second dimension is polarity, right? We're on either side. We have to have polarity. The third
Contrast.
dimension is being able to see and experience the polarity. And then it goes on fourth, fifth, da, da, da. But here's the big one. This was like a huge aha. So if you believe in a God, a creator, an infinite intelligence, something that started the mind, this guy explained God is like a void. And it opened my thinking to a whole new level. And I start feeling that void. The void inside of me is where my intuition lives. So go where appearances aren't, where you don't have judgment, you haven't made a decision, you haven't, right? You're not all caught up in your emotion. If we could go to this place of void inside of us, I promise you, the truth
There
will
it
just come
is.
through you, what you need.
Yeah. You know what I've called that is nothingness.
Oh,
You know,
that's what void means, right?
it is, but
No
I feel
thing,
like yes,
nothingness.
when I meditate and I get to that place where there's no thoughts, there's nothing really happening. It's kind of above the thoughts. It's just nothing's there. And it's the same thing you even talked about when you to get there, that you use the droplets of water kind of coming out of the tub or whatever. It's
Faucet,
like
yeah.
between the droplets is where the nothingness lies, that we really are between our thoughts. And I think that's what you're finding. That's where the intuition lies, or the listening of that wisdom can be.
Yeah, so I use an example in my book about the dripping faucet.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I've used that
And
twice and I loved it, but I don't think I explained it well.
well, you did. But I was going to just explain how I apply it. But
Yeah.
so the dripping faucet. So you can imagine when water is full speed running out of a faucet, think of the sound you hear,
Yeah.
right? And then when you turn off the faucet, it slows down, and then it slows down more. And then you may hear it in the other room where it's still going drip, 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 drip. And then the water starts to cease and it's drip, drip. And you may find yourself drip, waiting to hear the next drip, drip. And it's that time period, waiting to hear the next drip, that you've quieted your mind. You're not thinking of anything. You're waiting to hear the next drip. And that's what I call meditation, where we
Mhm.
can just quiet ourselves, where maybe there's no, you're still waiting to hear the drip, right? And thoughts may pop up, but it's just being able to quiet your chatter. You can do it in so many different ways. We do it out in nature. Sometimes I may see um, a little uh, bumblebee on a flower. And I just get so caught up in watching that bumblebee on that flower that you realize a thought hasn't passed in your mind, right? Because you're so focused on an intent on something else. So when we can practice this over and over, it becomes really simple and natural, and totally your intuition like comes to life, and so does your wisdom. Yeah.
Agree. And I think you can just use it as a guide. And I think that's part of the wisdom, as what you can rely, you can trust your gut instinct, if we want to call that intuition. But it's something that when you feel it inside you and you do it enough, you can rely on it, you trust it. I do feel like it's an inner wisdom. I feel like mine also started when, as a mother, a young mother with little children. And I swear at least 2 times, it was almost more like a premonition. But that intuition was so strong that something was going to happen and I could see it. And I was able to intervene with my children at least twice. I can think of those two immediately.
Wow.
It tells you things that if you trust it, it will guide you. And I swear I've saved my children my life multiple times because I trusted my gut or my intuition to guide me.
Yes. It makes me want to comment. I thought of the guy's name that I couldn't think of earlier. It's Greg Braden, and he
Oh,
wrote The
Greg Braden.
Divine Matrix.
Oh,
Greg
I
Braden,
heard that.
two G's, yeah, at the end of Greg Braden. He wrote The Divine Matrix. And one thing that we're talking about is the mind right now. When there's been so much scientific advancement through technology and studies that now they can hook us up to things. And we're learning the mind is not something up in the brain, right? We're learning that the mind, do you agree? The mind is throughout the entire body and actually extends
Cells,
beyond
even.
our
Yeah.
physical body. And so
Yes.
you're talking about the intuition, and you just had a sense something was happening with your children. I think it's because we're understanding we have an energy source, our mind. It goes beyond our body, and it can connect. It can, it can connect with things. And I don't want to get
Yeah.
too woo woo because that's not what
But
we signed
that's
up for
but
today.
well, yeah, it
Some
is
other
kind of
time.
because you're talking Matrix. I mean, even the movie The Matrix. I mean, that's what it was. How interconnected so much is, and
Yes.
how once we get into it, we can use it. We can, I don't know, manipulate it's the right word, but we can really understand how things work. And it is so much bigger than us, but we can really, it's energetically that we are so connected with so many different things. And I do believe in a higher source that is we're part of, even that a bigger matrix still. So it's like little matrices, I think, in ourselves, that
Right.
go together for other little matrices till that we are just expanded in our
Right.
consciousness in different
And,
ways.
and a mother's connected with her children. So Greg Braden, he talks about how they were measuring the energy coming from your heart. They've been able
Mhm.
to measure it. And he said it measured like 22 feet. And he said, why does it only go
Yeah.
22 feet? And he said, well, that's all the machine measures at this point. We have right. So it was just
Yeah.
machine. And so I really believe there is this connection, energetic connection always with
Yeah.
your children, with
I,
those we
I
love.
agree. And I mean, this is 20 years ago, and I don't even know what they exactly were measuring, but I just remember they placed like yogurt culture. So it is just a little bacteria or whatever it is, like across the whole world. And they used intention to send, love or something to that culture. And they could see that the culture was actually expanding just from intention from someone else across the whole world. So
Connection.
it's we're powerful, and I think that's the wisdom that we're talking about today, understanding really how powerful we are with our thoughts and our intentions and what we're able to do. That is all inside us. And then you had the healing story too of that intention and that ability to even heal yourself with sending that same kind of love into your heart. That you can also watch podcast 62 at anxietysimplified.net, that you really go into that story in depth, and it's a beautiful example of that.
And I think you said manipulate or something a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah.
And then you said, no, it's not that. It's true. See, and it's not that. And I know when I healed my body, I had no intention of healing. My intention was to give it comfort. I wanted to comfort it, I wanted to love it and appreciate it like it was my child. I had been ignoring it. And so I wasn't like trying to manipulate by using certain words to make it happen. It happened because of the purity of the intention.
Yeah. And I don't know, there may be another word, because I was meaning like mold it, be able to use it, in sending kindness or
Apply
apply it. That's a much better way. Yeah.
Yes.
To take it into your life and understand it in ways that you can use it for you or for your household or your community. Or there's so many things going on in the world, you could just pick anything and send some love and attention to it. So I would love for you to tell us more though about your 5-minute calm to happy process, and then be able to go into and I'm going to practice here, the Ho'oponopono 4 statements that I want to give as a gift. Did I say it right? Was I close?
Very close.
Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think the Hawaiians say ho'oponopono, like they emphasize the second O. Ho'oponopono.
Oh, that's almost easier.
Is it?
Ho'oponopono, pono. I want to say it 3 times.
Yeah, you do. That's great. Because I've been told in Hawaii, the Hawaiian language, when you want to make something like really emphasize it, you say it twice. So that's why it's pono.
That's why they stop it.
Pono means right. Ho, to, o, make, right. To make right. To make right. Because they added twice. Okay.
Make it right, and mean it.
Yes, make it right. So you want me to talk about the 5?
I would love that.
The 5 minutes, meditation.
Yeah, how to get into. I mean, to me, I feel like that's a gift that you can give to the audience. Really, is how do you do this? I think people really struggle with it, especially around Christmas. There's so much stress. There's so much hurry, scurry. Oh, expectations. Oh, I gotta hurry and get this done, so I can relax.
Yeah.
So maybe if they can listen to this and you can give this to them as a little piece of relaxation.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm not sure I'm clear on what you,
okay.
If you want, I don't know if I'm talking about how to get into it or if you wanted me to actually lead the meditation.
Why don't you lead it? Because that's kind of what the 5 steps are, right? As you go into it. And then,
I didn't know if you wanted me to explain the 5 steps or just go for it.
Let's do it.
Okay,
and then let somebody experience it.
We're going to do a meditation together. Because I'll be speaking, I always say, let me take you on a journey. Because when you truly meditate, you are, you kind of want to tune in and just kind of quiet everything. But because I'm going to be talking and guiding you, I say, let me take you on a journey. So it'll be a 5-minute journey. And the meditation journey does end with the Ho'oponopono that Joanne's talking about. And it's very powerful. And I'm going to deliver it, well, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to explain it. I'll let you experience it.
And you know what? And I hope you set the ambiance, because I can just imagine I'm lighting my candle. I've got my scents around me. I'm in my favorite chair and I'm just sitting back to really receive this.
I love it. Excuse me for a moment. Little trippy nose. Okay. I love this. All right. So if you do want to just put both feet on the floor and elongate your spine. This is so the energy can move up and down your spine. And then I say drop your chin down and close your eyes. And just for a brief moment, we're going to scan your body. We're going to start at the top of your head and just start relaxing everything on your head, that space behind the back of your ears, across your neck, down your shoulders, your torso, your hips, your legs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet, and your 10 little toes. Everything right now is just completely relaxed. And I'd like you to move in, become aware of your breathing, and just notice the softness of your breath. And as you relax everything, you may even feel the beating of your heart. And you can become aware of the sound that's around you. And where there is no sound, there is silence. So for a moment, become aware of the sound, but also focus on the silence that sits all around you. And in these moments, you're going to become very aware of your entire body and its physicality and its perfect health. Imagine perfect health is just drizzling like a shower coming down into every cell, nerve, tissue, fiber of your being. Everything is moving into perfect health. And around the heart area, imagine all the love you have ever experienced. Imagine collecting all the love you have ever been given, all the love you've ever given away. It all comes rushing back into your body at this moment. And just send it out. Let that love expand from your head to your toes and expand out into the airspace all around you, as far as the mind can even conceive. Let love just pour forth. And then welcome that love back into your body. And let it fill every cell, nerve, tissue, fiber of your being. Just fills up. And at this moment, when you're full of love, choose joy. Let joy fill your body. And any desire you wish for, let it become present right in front of you. Let it manifest on its own. Any desire, any wish, any dream, your goals are all reached. And if there's any doubt or hesitation, we are going to clear it with Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono is to make right. It will bring your emotions to where they sit at a state of zero. We're going to make 4 statements of declaration. Speak it to your heart, Speak it to your soul. Say, I love you. Declare, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Again, speak it to your heart. Speak it to your soul. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. To every cell, nerve, tissue, fiber of your being, say thank you. I love you. Thank you. And maybe we went a little longer than 5 minutes because I really wanted to emphasize the importance of those statements.
And I hope everybody noticed how they feel after doing this. I just felt like even blue ocean waves or waves of energy that just kind of was pulsing through my body as you said that. I could feel little cells even like happy, and it just felt like it just kind of flowed. So thank
Great.
you.
So the
What do
calming
people
yourself
say?
helped you
Yeah,
feel happy, right?
it
Calming yourself
does.
helps you feel happy.
Absolutely. And same in your book at the very end, it really goes through these steps so that you can do this yourself. And you also have an offering for
Oh,
our listeners.
oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah, if you would like to connect with me and learn more about this, I have a 3-part video, and in fact, in the video, it also brings in Ho'oponopono.
Oh, it does.
So it's a 3-part video. It's called "Create Joy and Inner Peace on a Daily Basis,"
Oh.
and the best way to do that, let's see. I think the fastest way to connect is to go to my Facebook page by this same name. The Facebook page is Calm is the New Happy, and you will see a lot of my Saturday meditations, and every one of them invites you to click for that 3-part video. Create joy and inner peace on a daily basis, right? On the Facebook page, Calm is the New Happy. And that's probably the quickest, fastest way, instead of trying to write URLs and all that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could put them in your footnotes.
I will. I'll make sure I put those in my notes so that we can find it, and as well as how to find your book. Calm is the New Happy. And I just can't say enough how much I've really enjoyed it and used it. And, even have actually it's on my Kindle. I highlighted portions of it because I love both. I like having my Kindles when I'm sitting out someplace, but I love having the book also to actually look at. So, I'm going to thank you so much, Debbie, for being here and sharing this with us and your offering and gift. And I also have an offering I want to offer to all the listeners. I made a frameable copy of those 4 statements of the Ho'oponopono for our listeners, that you can download, and you can also see or put up someplace or frame it so you can look at these. And it's to make it right is what the Ho'oponopono means, to make it right. Is that right?
No, it. To make right.
To make right.
Yes.
So that can be about anything then that somebody wants to
anything
make
that triggers you.
right.
Yes, anything that triggers you. So if you have an
Okay.
emotional something or other, right? Anything that triggers you, just start cleaning with Ho'oponopono. I use
Clean
it
it
when I'm
out.
driving. I say it all the time, doing the dishes. I just say it over and over because it really keeps me stable. Um, yeah.
That's
When someone
beautiful.
upsets me, I just start cleaning because I've been triggered,
A-
right?
And, I have a question as I do this. I always want to say, oh, I'm sorry for, or I want to go into like some explanation of that, in that moment. Do you do that, or you just keep it simple and I'm sorry and don't go into explanation about
I no longer go into explanation about it.
it?
On
Okay.
my Saturday meditations, sometimes because it's brand new for people, I guide them a little bit. I'm sorry for any hurt I've ever caused. I'm sorry
Yeah.
if I've ever disappointed someone. I'm sorry if
Yeah.
I outspoke I'm sorry,
Yeah.
just kind of, because it's probably deep inside you, something you did as a child or that you've
Yeah.
held on to, things like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad I did ask because,
good question.
I do feel like sometimes I go a little bit further with it, but you're saying kind of as you do it more and more, you just do it to make you feel happier or better,
If
or letting
if you're
go.
if you're doing it on your own, absolutely. I agree. Explore it. If you're sitting
Okay.
here, you're doing it on your own, you've got 30 minutes to just meditate with Ho'oponopono, absolutely explore it. Let it all come up. And
Okay.
the please forgive me stuff starts coming up and you may well up and
So listen for what
yeah,
comes up then. And I think that's really part of the wisdom we're talking about today. Don't you do? It's just listen. Listen what your heart is speaking. Maybe not your head so much. We're so used to that, but listen and or ask. I think that's part of, we need to ask sometimes too
yes,
for what we want. So
that's right.
yeah, these are great wisdoms that you're sharing with us today, Debbie. So thank you so
And
much for
thank
being
you,
here.
Joanne. And I love your wisdom as well. I love our
Thank
shares
you.
back and forth. It's
Thank
really
you.
terrific.
I like it too.
Well, have a
So
wonderful holiday.
thank you. You too, to you and your family and all the listeners out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I do want to thank our listeners for being here and supporting us. And I do ask you to go and rate, review, and support our podcast. And by sharing this with someone also that you think this might be helpful for, or that as even a gift to bring a little bit of joy and happiness into their life. And I feel like this podcast is around practical issues to use. So please practice them as well. And you can always find out more at anxietysimplified.net. If there ever is any reason for counseling, or if you do want to look for a psychiatric or emotional support animal to bring more love into your life, you can find out more at anxietysimplified.net. And please just know, reach out if you ever do need any help, because this is by no means a replacement for any therapy, any medical attention if you ever do need it. Always reach out to take care of yourself. And please remember to share the love around this season of sharing. Bye for now.